but he also stated that he said, well, he has a pretty big wall around his building. He's not talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pope said that. Yeah, is it around the Vatican? Which they do. They do have a big wall.
And also he's getting criticized because he's going out of his way to criticize Trump, and I think it's fair. Trump isn't super Christian. But at the same time, he met with the government of Mexico, but he didn't call them out on, murdering 42 students and then burying their bodies, which, you might want to bring up if you're talking about Christian behavior.
Yeah, and the Pope didn't call out Trump by name. He just said, said in general
people
terms.
who only want to build,
right? But
only
he
speak of building walls. Yeah,
right.
He was just talking about Bob the Builder.
I know. I mean, it was obvious in context, but he didn't actually say Donald Trump.
Interesting.
So there you go.
The papal loophole, which is also a euphemism.
And actually, he is not going.
I say we just will everybody go around the table? Did anybody have any euphemisms for Catholic versus sex? Anyway, I'm just kidding. If you do have any, though, chime in.
I'm just working on getting banned from Vatican City.
Take me down to Vatican City. Yeah, anyway.
where the nuns are cool and the Pope is pretty.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, now we know how you roll.
Won't you please take me to Rome? Whoa. I could do this all day.
You could just go on loop like these recordings.
Hey, guys. Will Durst here.
Wow, I thought it was him. I was like, what? Did I play that again?
No, you know what? I think, of course, as a global and, as just a citizen of the world, of course the Pope is well within his rights to make comments about injustice where he sees it. You raise a good point. They're still covering up for the priests that molest kids. The Vatican isn't a place of perfection.
Well,
but you can't look at the one guy who is allegedly infallible and go, well, who is he to comment on how religious people are? Well, he's the Pope.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they also, a lot of they're interviewing some of the people right there in Mexico, and they said, we're not buying it because he's not really going to do anything. When the Pope showed up, he didn't really do anything. Just to your point, the guy's showing up. Yes, he's splashing holy water and the whole thing, but nothing's going to change, and that's what they want. There were people that were standing there that said, "Look, we're not coming out to support you because you're really not going to do anything. The murdering and everything, and the way that they're treating the people is not going to change. You're a figurehead. You're going to come in. You're going to, you said you were there, and then they're going to move on, and it's going to be, the guns are Navarone again. They're going to start shooting."
Yeah, and if you're going to talk about that in a religious context, in the Bible, I think it was Jesus or maybe it was Paul the Apostle who said that the governments of the world are ordained by God, and this was back in the time when the Christians were disobeying the Roman Empire, and Paul was trying to tell them, obey the people's laws. Okay, just
don't be
assholes.
It's rendered to Caesar all that is Caesar. So follow.
That's something else, though.
But no. It's to follow. I'm basically agreeing with you. You are to follow what they have there. That this is put by Caesar. That which is God's, you follow which is God. But that which is for Caesar, you follow what they have, which basically follow the laws and obey. Do not go to fight because that's not what they wanted. That would not be Christian-like to do that.
And also there's something in the Bible about coveting thy neighbor's goods. So you have Mexico, which is a poor country thanks to their government, right, breaking our laws to basically get what we have so they could send it back to their people. So they're breaking, if you're going to talk about religious context.
I do want to say in that regard that as much illegal immigration is one of the things that I'm somewhat still right wing on. However, when you put it in that context, though, I don't think that's really fair. The people aren't going, "Hey, I want to fuck America." They want to feed their families.
No. It harkens back to another Bible verse: "Don't hate the player, hate the game."
That's in the book 2 Corinthians. Walk into a bar, right?
Yeah. No, but if you're looking at, you basically have to say though, quit wanting cheap labor. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want these guys to come across the border. Don't ask for cheap labor. Quit, and wait a minute.
Get used to paying $99 for a head of lettuce, $300 for a pair.
And tell the white boy to quit going after all the drugs.
Yeah.
As long as that white boy wants those drugs, they're coming. They want the guns, yes. I mean,
I don't think
so
it's
I'm
all
saying-
white boys.
No.
Well,
There is no. I'm telling you, there is no bigger person that wants that drug, that meth. Because brothers don't really
meth,
do
yeah.
meth. Well, one of the biggest drugs right now is meth.
Okay, yeah, but that's
And heroin is cheap, and that's over in the white suburbia now, so they're really going crazy.
I know, but heroin comes largely from Afghanistan. and
No,
stuff.
heroin is coming across that
Mexico?
border from Mexico.
But meth is homemade. In
And,
the,
well,
trust me.
Supports American jobs.
Thank you.
Meth is American
I
made.
saw Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's legal enough for illegal immigrants to open a bank account. But if it's not legal and the banks are just fucking greedy and want their money, I would say, you know what, illegal immigrants, you can fuck the banks over as much as you want. Run up as much credit card debt as you want. You don't have to pay them back. Fuck you, banks. You know, I'm assuming that it's illegal.
I don't.
I don't advocate illegal immigration, but if they're here, I highly
they
advocate
are here.
credit fraud.
I mean, if you wanted to get rid of illegal immigration, if you required employers to verify the immigration
Exactly.
status, that would pretty much end it. Or
Right.
it would
But that's what I was
sort of
saying
really
with you know, they're saying one thing and doing another. You
Yeah.
can't keep, you know, you don't want to pay the American worker the money that he asked for, so you're going to say, oh, screw you guys, I'll go get someone cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you keep sending when you call up an Apple or somebody, where else they're sending you to India for someone to answer. You're outsourcing all the damn jobs.
But
You don't-
because of the economic disparity between the countries, I mean, like 20 some odd years ago, I worked at a hot dog place in Chicago.
Right.
And like most hot dog places in Chicago, especially at the time, usually the people working the counter were white or black, and the people making the food were Latino. They're Mexican. And, you know, we would have downtime where it was like slow after the dinner rush. And I would spend a lot of time talking to the guys working the line. One of the guys working the line had moved here, to Chicago from Mexico, where he was a veterinarian. And he was making more money working minimum wage, making hot dogs in the suburbs of Chicago than he was as a veterinarian in Mexico. He was making enough to send money back to his family in Mexico. So, you know, the concern, of course, we don't want to pay $99 for a head of lettuce. America loves the cheap labor. We're not going to do anything about it from that front. But you also have to look at the economic factors that are causing these people to come here. It's not all just gun violence and drug cartels. You can make more money in a very low-skill job than you can in something that requires an advanced degree. Go, you know?
Yeah.
I also think, I think sort of people overstate the negative impact of illegal immigration at times. I mean, it does increase competition for low-skilled labor, but at the same time, there's states like Alabama where they've really cracked down on illegal immigration, and then their farms can't fill the jobs and compete with produce that just comes from Mexico.
But you also can't just keep selling fear, and that's what I'm saying. You're selling one thing that the Republicans love to do. They keep telling me, oh, you know, first it was the brother. Now you're telling me it's the Mexican. Well, guess what? This was Mexico. You can't just get rid of them. That's why it's called Los Angeles, damn it. They have been here. Yeah. You know, you just can't tell them to pack up and go because they have been here. And so when you keep telling me that this guy is my problem, no. Your problem is that the companies that are the corporations, there is a battle between labor and capitalism. It always has been. Nobody wants to pay. You can't just make a guy continue, you know, like the people that had all these major corporations where you had manufacturing, USA manufacturing, they shipped all those jobs out. You say, oh, we're going to send those to China. We're going to send those, you know, we can get that done cheaper. Well, when you do that, yes, but you did not re-educate your people. You didn't re-educate the people I know in my generation, a lot of the times all you had to do if you didn't want to go to high school, all you had to do was just go to Votech and learn a trade. Well, now it's not that easy anymore. And those jobs are gone. And so you've created something to where yes, you have them fighting. You got a guy 45 years old flipping burgers at McDonald's for $15 an hour. And trying to
15's pretty good at McDonald's.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a
but
second there.
I mean, if you got 4 kids, that's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in the sense that I do think there's too much fear. especially around crime and stuff like that, if you actually look at the statistics in California prisons, illegal immigrants aren't represented to the degree that, Native Americans, or not Native Americans, but natural-born Americans are.
Right.
Generally, the pattern is that the first generation that comes over actually has a substantially lower crime rate than people who are born and raised in America because they're so focused on working and, making a better life. And in terms of the trade thing, I mean, I do think that it's true that there is going to be a conflict between business and labor, but at the same sense, a lot of the manufacturing jobs were going to go. I mean, regardless of the policies, it's just cheaper to manufacture.
I was just going to say that our salaries have stagnated since 1961.
Yeah.
It has not went up, and there's a problem there. No salary has grown since 1961. I was born in '64. They haven't moved, rich and poor continue to expand.
Also, if you look at the American economy during World War II, things were being rationed, like gas and steel and rubber, but people. Stop. But there was a patriotism. There was a belief in America that it is, we're paying more for stuff, but it's patriotic to do that.
But
it's supporting America.
Was huge. Manufacturing was huge.
Right. But I mean, now it's you get like folks like Donald Trump who are campaigning for the presidency, bitching about China. Meanwhile, they own companies. Trump has a fashion line that the clothes were manufactured in China.
And
the fact is, it's like, of course, as a businessman, you want to save money and cut the corners, but you can't have it both ways. If you want to be pro-America, be pro-America. Build your factories in America. Let people know, sure, you're paying a little more, but what you're getting for this, you're getting America.
But
you're getting patriotism.
America, fuck yeah.
Well,
but you're expanding.
But in the proper context, not in the parody that it has become. But instead, no, it's these business owners are saying, fuck America. We're building our shit somewhere else. We're going to make a shitload of money that we're going to hide in an offshore account in Switzerland or the Bahamas or wherever we can put it where we don't have to pay taxes on it. And while we're doing all that, we're going to condemn other people for their lack of patriotism.
And you're also so you're selling off, and also what that brings. Now you can't buy a house because it used to be, where's the American dream? Your American dream was the home. You get a house, you go to work, you go to school, you get the house, you have the kids. That's gone. You can't have the American dream anymore because the house is $700,000 for a medium-priced home. So not only and you're paying me $15 an hour, that great job you talked about, $15 an hour, and now with a $700,000 home, you stand in an apartment.
Yeah, you sleep on an air mattress in the $700,000 that home. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Toby. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say, I don't think it's completely the greed of business people to move jobs overseas because it's also our greed and not wanting to pay more for those American products. Yeah. Because, I mean, look, you can buy all of your T-shirts at American Apparel. It's American made. It's also going to be $15 for a plain white T-shirt. But people will they want to buy a 3-pack of Hanes that are manufactured in, Bangladesh or whatever. And it's,
but I'm just saying, be honest about it. Like, if you are going to do that, don't turn around and talk about patriotism and being American. Admit what you're doing and shut your yap about the hypocrisy.
And Tommy Hilfiger makes his T-shirts for 50 cents and sells them to Americans for $50. Mm-hmm. That same T-shirt, that cotton T-shirt that just says Tommy across the chest that you want Americans to buy. Our society does not move unless we consume. We are flat out consumers, and that's what we suppose. And if we don't have 80 to 90% of us buying something, then we don't move. And they're trying to buy, but they need jobs. Yeah, they need jobs to be able to do things. You splash all this stuff across the television. You make these kids see all this crap, and then you wonder why they're out robbing you. They're robbing you because they can't get it, and that's what they want.
Yeah, and I do what I definitely thought was a great point that you made is that we do have a responsibility to educate our workplace, and that has been lacking. I mean, in my opinion, I think we're going to. ideally transition to a more skilled economy like they have in Europe or whatever, where people have, better white-collar jobs, whatever. But if we try to make that transition without bringing up people so that they're qualified for those jobs, then we're screwing ourselves. And specifically, we're screwing those,